Protecting oil and gas infrastructure, town hall meeting, X-rays, challenges and prospects.
Government property are indeed citizens' property and so must be protected for the benefit of all.
Police rescued 26 kidnapped students of Bethel Baptist School in Kaduna. Northern traditional rulers pledge to support federal government against polio.
That is a unique opportunity to show off what Nigeria can do.
Plus, 2023 January elections, Southern Governors Forum canvasses zoning of presidency to South. Good evening and thanks for joining us on 88 Network News. I am Kenan Ima Aborike in Abuja, and Hingino John Adams will be joining us from Lagos studio. We'll begin with politics as Southern governors under the aegis of the Southern Nigerian Governors Forum rose from a 3-hour meeting to canvass for the zoning of 2023 presidency to the southern region of this country. This was contained in a 6-point communique read by Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu at the end of their meeting in Lagos. Musa Toliat has details. Musa Toliat.
11 out of the expected 17 state governors and 4 deputy governors from Abia, Edo, Imo, and Ebonyi states were part of the Southern Governors Forum meeting in Lagos. The governors did not mince words on the objectives of the meeting, which bordered on security situation in the country, the need to promulgate law to ban open grazing in the south, fallouts from the passage of the petroleum industry bill, and perceived selective criminal justice system in the country.
The forum re-emphasized the need for state police. The forum set a timeline of Wednesday, the 1st of September 2021 for the promulgation of the anti-open grazing law in all its member states. The forum, however, rejects in very strong terms the proposed 3% for host community and supports 5% share of the oil revenue to the host communities as recommended by the House of Representatives.
The Southern Governors Forum meeting, hosted by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is a follow-up to the last one held on May 11 this year in Asaba, Delta State. One of the major take-home from this meeting is the consensus of the Southern Governors Forum to articulate collective interest and reiterate commitment to a united Nigeria in an atmosphere of true federalism. From the seat of government here in Alausa, Ikeja, I am Musa Toliat, NTA News.
At the meantime, Northern traditional leaders have resolved to collectively support the federal government in ensuring that Nigeria remains a certified polio-free country. This was at the second quarter review meeting of the Committee on Immunization and Primary Health Care in Abuja as a strain of the weakened poliovirus CVD-PV2 has continued to spread in some states of the country. Basi Taipan reports.
It is a fact that brings joy to the faces of the people that Nigeria has been certified polio-free. But the reality, experts say, is that every Nigerian, including governments, has the responsibility of ensuring that the country maintains their status.
That is a unique opportunity to show off what Nigeria can do and how the Northern Traditional Leaders Conference can spearhead the health of its nation.
And have seminars that we will continue to do our utmost best to support all health and related programs of the federal government. All we ask for is a regular avenue to be able to feed back to the agency and partners on true situation at the grassroots.
This year, the noted has been a challenging one due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected all areas of human lives.
This is to improve community knowledge of the facts and benefits of COVID-19 vaccination and to enhance community ownership and participation.
They should shun all these false stories about vaccine. that it's not good. The vaccine is a lifesaver.
The reduction in donor funding was also brought to the fore with an appeal on the traditional leaders to use their influence in advocating to political leaders on the need to continue to fund polio outbreak response campaigns. Basi Taipan, NTA News.
Let's go to oil and gas, where a whopping sum of about 60 billion naira is annually expended by the federal government to repair vandalized oil pipelines across the country. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed disclosed this at a special town hall meeting on protecting oil and gas infrastructure in Nigeria. Anthony Forson reports.
Nigeria is a nation with a huge and diverse population, blessed with abundant natural resources. But the country is challenged by a massive infrastructure deficit owing to years of neglect. Further compounded by this is the incessant vandalization of oil and gas facilities. Bringing the matter to the fore at this special town hall meeting series, its convener and Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said, with oil and gas providing 80% of Nigeria's budgetary revenue and 95% of foreign exchange earnings, the impact of pipeline vandalism on the economy can only be imagined.
With an average of 200,000 barrels per day loss to the wanton damage to pipelines and a huge amount of about 60 billion naira yearly to repair and maintain the vandalized points, one can only imagine the impact on the economy. According to statistics, between January 2019 and September 2020, 1,161 pipeline points across the country were vandalized.
And as governments strive to bridge the nation's infrastructure deficit, everything possible must be done to stop the wanton destruction of public property.
Our objectives are create in the public mind that government property are indeed citizens' property and so must be protected for the benefit of all. Sensitize communities, especially those where infrastructure are located, to be conscious of the import of such and protect them.
Taking the issue from an industry player's perspective, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, represented by the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, said since 2014, an average of about 38 million barrels of crude oil is deferred due to incessant pipeline vandalism.
That you have two sets of vandals. There are people who are genuinely aggrieved, and there seem to be activism. But they are very different from those who attack this pipeline just for the sake of doing it or for the purpose of stealing. So the combination of the two becomes a national problem.
For Dr. Mohammed Abubakar, pipeline vandalism over the years is a major factor that has contributed significantly to environmental degradation.
The current cleanup, even in the international arena, is perhaps the biggest undertaking currently in the world of remediating a contaminated land by hydrocarbon, hence the name Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project.
The region has witnessed alarming youth restiveness in the recent past as a result of agitations for government and multinational corporations drilling oil and exploring gas in the region to pay more attention to the development of the area.
There were goodwill messages from the leadership of the National Assembly, who all applauded the forum, saying it wouldn't have come at a better time than now, as the petroleum industry bill is almost ready. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the 20th Nigeria Oil and Gas Conference opened in Abuja with presentations on finding proactive ways towards fortifying the Nigerian oil and gas industry for economic stability and growth. Group Managing Director, NNPC, who declared the exhibition open, applauded local content participation and expertise in the country. Lydia Sampson reports.
For the key players here, mitigating the impact of global pandemic on Nigerian content growth is critical. It is in the light of this that the conference dwelt on exploring content opportunities in the African continental free trade area.
Most of the development that we've seen happened in the last 6 years under President Buhari. We're just trying to be patronizing, but that is actually what happened. And one of the areas where we have seen a lot of development is in the area of gas.
For the Executive Secretary Nigerian Content, 80% of operators and service providers have migrated to the newly inaugurated NCDMB fund remittance platform in expectation for the remaining 20% to follow.
Nigerians taking charge of the oil and gas sector. The bottom line for us is how do we create jobs? How do we retain value in country?
For the GMD NNPC, Mele Kyari, represented by the Chief Operating Officer upstream, the Executive Secretary Neiti, the increased participation of Nigerians in the industry must be sustained.
As we move from the fossil fuel to the new energy era, which is the energy mix, we are beginning to see how Nigerians are fully involved in the oil and gas.
I came here and I found that majority of the experts, majority of the ingenuity, creativity, and skills that we're looking for outside are here.
The dignitaries who visited some exhibitions are optimistic that the Nigerian oil and gas industry is on the path of growth. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Away from oil and gas, the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has briefed the National Assembly on the draft 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. At a meeting involving the ministry, parastatals under it, and the leadership of the National Assembly, Zainab Ahmed explained that the Nigerian economy sustained a tepid growth in the first quarter of 2021, with a 0.51% growth driven by the non-oil sector, which increased by 0.79%, with telecommunication and agricultural sectors as major contributors.
Comes and agriculture sectors as well as other sectors of the Nigerian economy. Significant concerns still exist in the performance of trade as well as transport sector, which are still in a very strong negative growth. These subsectors are yet to rebound from the pre-pandemic levels.
It's part of the preparations for the submission or presentation of the 2022 appropriation bill by Mr. President sometime in September by the grace of God. We'll all recall how this 9th National Assembly committed itself ab initio to ensuring the passage of the appropriations before the end of December of every year to enable the implementation of the Appropriations Act to start by January of every year.
The minister observed that Nigeria is still exposed to risk aversion in a global capital market due to the pressure on the foreign exchange market. The meeting later dissolved into a closed-door session. Inclusivity is a key element of a developed democracy. Stakeholders at a round table in Abuja on strengthening legislative oversight through improved inclusion are deliberating on how barriers to inclusive electoral process can be removed. Timothy Yusuf reports.
These stakeholders are pushing for inclusion of women and persons with disabilities in current rounds of electoral and constitution reform. Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, organizer of the meeting, in collaboration with the European Union, believes that strengthening the National Assembly to better carry out oversight of all issues affecting different sectors and groups of the country's citizenry is imperative.
It's really up to all of us to see how we can push to keep expanding the democratic space for all of us.
Discussant submits that in Nigeria, women, youth and persons with disabilities constantly raise questions regarding exclusion from the different levels of decision-making and participation in the electoral process.
The technology that we all see today, many of them are not adaptive to the environment that we are. And I think it's necessary that the legislators begin to look at what works here.
We proposed in 2016 that, during the issues on unbundling INEC, we said INEC should have nothing to do with voter education.
INEC need to continue to work to remove all the barriers to registration.
Deliberations at the meeting focused on oversight inclusion in election through a legislative guidance tool and template, enhancing the representation of persons with disabilities through electoral reform and challenges to effective citizen participation and opportunities for inclusion. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
It's time for our first break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. As we now tell you that a joint team of security operatives has rescued 26 students and a teacher abducted from Bethel Secondary School, Kujama, on the outskirts of Kaduna metropolis. Kaduna State Police Command says armed bandits, a large number who gained access into the school, overpowered the school security guards and made their way into the students' hostel, where they abducted an unspecified number of students into the forest. The command says rescue operation is still ongoing to ensure that all victims are safely returned. Meanwhile, Kaduna State government has ordered the immediate closure of 13 schools located in areas identified as vulnerable to attacks by bandits. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has charged security agencies to intensify efforts for early release of kidnapped students. Expressing concern over attacks by kidnappers and bandits on Kaduna State and the neighboring Niger State targeting students, President Buhari urged the military, police and the intelligence agencies to ensure the safe and early release of all affected. President Buhari said the disturbing incidents of kidnapping of students in mostly northern states is threatening to undermine efforts in boosting school enrollment in states that are adjudged as educationally backward. He therefore urged state governments to ensure compliance with the UN-supported Safe Schools program subscribed to by the administration. The president described kidnapping as cowardly and despicable, condemning it as an assault on the affected families and the nation. The federal government has engaged and empowered 90 persons with necessary tools to serve as independent monitors for the national social investment programs in Ondo State. Olubunmi Iroju reports that a data capturing system was also put in place.
These are the trained independent monitoring team and beneficiaries of the National Social Investment Program, NSIP, in Ondo State. The major assignment of this monitoring team is to monitor the NPower, NAgro, and other NSIP components for better performance.
This is a one-year engagement letter to monitor all the activities of components of this National Social Investment Program.
Mr. President has given the directive for the ministry to have a valid data of all these pupils that are being fed.
This is where you are applying to work, and that work must be done.
Stakeholders also enumerated issues relating to the federal government's NSIP program in their various ministries, with the aim of ensuring good working relationship for effective results.
There are going to be eradication of poverty.
The federal government is determined to take 100,000 people out of poverty within the stipulated period of 10 years. In Akure, Olubunmi Iroju, NTA News.
And as part of strategies to address the complaints of stakeholders on the implementation of the National Social Investment Program in Akwa Ibom State, the federal government has empowered 62 independent monitors to ensure the scheme is delivered to the targeted most vulnerable. Clement Barikiu reports that the independent monitors have already received engagement letters and tablets.
Akwa Ibom State has 1,165 government primary schools, out of which 889 are enrolled for the National Homegrown School Feeding Program as at 2019. For the conditional cash transfer, the most vulnerable in 9 local government areas are already benefiting. The engagement of these trained independent monitors is therefore to make the various schemes under the National Social Investment Program more credible and ensure transparency and accountability in implementation.
They called us because we know that we are going to save with all our might.
It is experience of us to get into the grassroots
get into the community to see if what they've sent to the locality is well used.
So nobody was suspecting anybody. It's just that, we're dealing with some people who don't get to understanding how it works.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umaru Farouk, in a message to the presentation of engagement letters and tablet to the independent monitors, said they must live up to expectation.
The scope of work include provision of evidence-based report on findings in the field.
They are expected to report on progress of the NSIP in Uyo. Clement Barakui, NTA News.
In another development, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has flagged off data collection for primary 1 to 3 pupils in Kogi State in view of commencing the federal government's National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Francis Udojo has the details.
The flag off of data collection in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, by the federal government is to enhance accuracy and transparency in the number of enrolled pupils for the homegrown school feeding program.
By extension, trying to reduce out of school, solving out of school problems.
Since the commencement of the program in 2016, 177,000 pupils out of about 258,000 pupils in classes 1 to 3 have been captured, with the state willing to support the initiative to succeed.
We are very, very open to it, and we give you every information you need. We will build the data for you. We have an ICT that is very, very strong.
Whatever it is, we are authenticating the data.
It is expected that the Kogi State government will ensure that beneficiaries of the national program are well targeted and affected. In Lokoja, Francis Sudojo, NTA News.
The tall thief of thief land, Professor James Otese Ayatse, has commended President and founder of Mariam Abacha American University of Nigeria, Kano, for establishing the university and equipping it with state-of-the-art facilities. The monarch made the commendation when he visited the site of the university at Hotoro area in Kano metropolis. Shehu Adamu reports.
The royal father, who was conducted around different sections of the university, including faculties, library, lecture theatres, laboratory and senate building, expressed satisfaction with the quality of the infrastructure put in place. The traditional ruler said this is the first time he came across a youth who channeled his resources in the development of education in the country, calling on wealthy youth to emulate Professor Adamu Abubakar Gwarzo.
I'm very impressed about the layout. I'm impressed about the quality of the infrastructure being laid.
The Totif also advised the management of the Mariam Abacha American University to establish a strong information and communication technology center to help the university to increase its visibility, quality of students, as well as method of research. As a traditional ruler and a professor with vast experience running a university system, the Totif advised the founder not to relent in ensuring adequate funding to the university so that the good work started will not be truncated. He promised to be available at all times for counseling and advice on key issues to enable the university achieve the desired results. Mariam Abacha American University, Kano, is the latest addition in the fold. The others are Mariam Abacha American University, Maradi, Niger Republic, and Franco-British International University, Kaduna, awaiting approval. Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari felicitates with Chukwudi Oracle Nwala, a former technical advisor, House of Representatives on petroleum industry reform, on his 50th birthday. A statement from the presidency notes the contributions of Nwala to national development, working with private and public institutions, believing that the wise counsels of the lawyer and the trainer channeled through the African leadership and learning focus will always be appreciated. Hengino in Lagos is standing by with other reports from that zone. Over to you, Hengino.
Thank you, Kene.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says more than 250,000 Nigerians have opened an account to carry out various activities on its registration portal since its chairman announced the resumption of the continuous voter registration exercise less than 2 weeks ago. National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education of INEC, Festus Okoye, said this at a workshop organized to train heads of ICT unit on the technological application of the new continuous voter registration system. Michael Olale reports.
Putting into consideration the indispensability of continuous voter registration to conducting free and credible elections, INEC since 2011 has consistently maintained a robust voters database. This informed the launch of the online pre-registration system to incorporate new voters into the electoral diary.
This commission is determined to deepen the use of technology in the electoral process. We must improve and continue to improve with every election and with every electoral cycle. That must be our legacy.
The commission, through the platform, is building on its existing structure of strengthening the use of ICT to deepen democratic practice.
In view of recent activities countrywide, it is envisaged that there will be a large turnout of prospective registrants. Hence, the need for us to be far-sighted in our preparations.
The European Center for Electoral Support commended INEC's strive for perfection in electoral process in Nigeria with a pledge to improve technical capacity and support for the ongoing continuous voter registration.
Managing a huge voting population like in Nigeria requires the adoption of best available technologies to ensure that the data are better managed, easily accessible, and interactive with the citizens.
Heads of INEC's ICT units across the 32 states of the Federation, including the FCT, will undergo training on process and procedures relating to online CVR. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
The era when business ideas die as orphans due to lack of financial support for startups may soon be over. This is evident in the agricultural sector, where the federal government, through the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NIRSAL, is facilitating bank loans for agribusiness through credit guarantee incentives. Adeni Taiwo reports that courtesy a 1.15 billion naira loan facilitated by NIRSAL, a cocoa trading company in Lagos can now export 4,000 metric tons annually.
Charles Eteri had a business idea, one that will aggregate cocoa seeds across farms in Nigeria, process and package them for export, thereby expanding the market and improving Nigeria's balance of trade. Lack of collateral and securities to secure loan from banks was a major setback until the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System in Agricultural Lending, NISAR, intervened by guaranteeing a 1.15 billion naira loan from Keystone Bank.
And we approached them because we knew the immediate value it would create for our business. Having run this business for so long, we realize how difficult it is to risk finances through the banks and other capital markets. But one thing NESA was providing was the ability to de-risk us, and that way makes us more attractive to financiers.
With a mandate to stimulate the flow of affordable finance and investment into the agricultural sector by sharing the risk of loans to farmers and other players in the value chain, NISAL has facilitated credit facilities for about 748 different projects across the country through its credit risk guarantee scheme.
We have guaranteed projects to the tune of almost $648 million in the last 5 years. And these are projects that are live under national guarantee, and all of them are performing.
While the corporation plans to do more to grow the number of beneficiaries and provide more job opportunities for Nigerian youths, banks and other institutions are expected to key in by encouraging new startups.
The banks are already locked in with NASAL. Any project you have, go to the bank, but immediately tell the bank you want to approach NASAL to provide enhancement and guarantee for you. Immediately a project comes, no matter how incomplete it looks, the bank branch will alert NASAL. We and the branch of the bank will look at that project objectively and try to enhance it.
Backed by a NASAL guarantee, it becomes difficult not to support him. Sometimes I wonder why every other bank is not playing in this field.
NISAL is a $500 million non-financial corporation established by the Central Bank of Nigeria to run financial interface between banks and agribusinesses by defining, repricing, and guaranteeing loans for agro-allied businesses. In Lagos, Adini Itaiwo, NTA News.
Thank you for staying with us. Nigeria offers 3-year bonds at 9.35% interest rate as investors gain 4.17 billion naira to open the week positive. Musa Abubakar has details on business news.
Thank you, Cadet. The Debt Management Office on Monday offered for subscription more federal government bonds at 1,000 naira per unit. Information in its official website says DMO announced that the bonds were to give federal government savings bond due in July 14, 2023 with interest rate of 8.35% per annum. There is also a 3-year FG savings bond due in July 14, 2024 at 9.35% interest rate per annum. Opening date for subscription is July 5th. Closing date is July 9th, while coupon payment dates are July 14th, October 14th, January 14th, April 14th, and July 14th. The offer comes at 1,000 naira per unit, subject to a minimum subscription of 5,000 and in multiples of 1,000 naira. Thereafter, subject to maximum subscription of 50 million naira. The office assured that the bonds qualify as securities in which trustees can invest under the Trustee Investment Act. Now, the capital market equities market closed Monday's trading on the positive to begin the week. The all-share index climbed 0.02% to close 38,220.01 basis points, and equity capitalization at 19.9 trillion naira. 282.6 billion shares value at 1.9 billion naira were traded in 4,788 deals. Fidelity Bank, Wemo Bank, and Universal Insurance PLC are the most traded shares. Well, that's business news. It's back to you, Kenneth.
Thank you very much, Musa. Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, says it has exceeded its 36 billion naira projected revenue from spectrum license fees for 2021, having recorded more than 150 billion naira from this revenue source within the five months of the year. A statement by the Director of Public Affairs, Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde, indicates that the figure represents more than 400% increase in revenue budget performance in respect of spectrum fees generated by the Commission between January 1 and May 31, 2021, reflecting a significant contribution to the revenue drive of the federal government. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khalibaba, is counting on the support of spouses of security agencies to succeed in the discharge of their duties and responsibilities. The IGP stated this when he hosted the leadership of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, at the Louis Edet House in Abuja. Francis Fum reports.
Nigeria has continued its fight against criminality, insurgency and banditry with her security agencies, striving to ensure peace and order.
The things that we need, that Amonis need to...
This visit by the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association to the IGP, Usman Al-Khalibaba, is to support their spouses to overcome the challenges and protect the country. The IGP believes synergy and collaboration amongst the spouses of armed forces and the police will boost morale of officers and men in the fight against crime and criminality.
I assure you that we are always ready to support you, particularly in establishing and managing of skill acquisition centers for our wives, where they learn how to support the home background.
Wife of the Chief of Defense Staff, Victoria Irabo, explains that it is the desire of the poor to have a reintegration structure for their husbands in the battlefield to ensure that they return home in good health.
We intend to collaborate with the IG to provide solution through the root cause analysis by uniting our voices.
The poor points out that they are working towards fostering bonds of friendship, promote cordial relationship, and enhance unity amongst security forces officers' wives.
Promises you made.
Francis from NTA News.
The Hibdet University and British American Business School is stressing that knowledge and research are vital resources to growth and development of any nation. This was at the Matriculation, Honorary Doctorate Award and Professorial Fellow Award of the university held in Abuja. Moplang Dakok reports.
What stands out among this group of recipients is their excitement, enthusiasm, and genuine interest to contribute to the political and economic development of the country with the various degrees acquired from the Hibdet University and British American Business School.
And I'm sure you leave your name in the print of the academia. May God help you.
NTS Executive Director, Administration and Training, Steve Egbo, and 4 others were awarded Research Professional Fellow, while 10 others were awarded honorary doctorate degrees.
We need to engage in more strategic thinking and strategic re-evaluation of where we are, so that as the 21st century is moving, we can move along with it.
Matriculating students, graduates, and awardees were charged to uphold the virtues of hard work, discipline, and transcendence while they contribute their quota to national development. In Abuja, Moplang Dakok, NTA News.
Welcome back. Sports update is next, and Tamara Ebiwe is our guide.
Thank you, Kene. Welcome to Sports Update. Wrestling is first. We are